Hey, I'm Hannah Roy, and welcome to Fit, Faith, and Flourish, a place for Christian women to learn to live a healthy lifestyle, prioritize their faith, and flourish as a woman of God. We talk a lot about Jesus, and then some more about relationships, business, and simply living a joy-filled life in the world we live in. I am so thankful you're here, and I pray that this episode touches you. Let's get into it. Hey guys, and welcome back to my podcast. Today I am going to be talking about how I started my fitness coaching business and my social media and how you guys can really do the same. I get a lot of questions on my social media about how to do this, and so I thought it'd be nice to just kind of have one spot to go to kind of for hopefully the majority of your questions answered. Once I get through this episode, if you guys are still like, I'm not really clear on that, please just message me on Instagram or email me. The space of online coaching and being in the world of social media, it is literally the best job ever, and it's such a blessing. And while it might seem like the industry is oversaturated, we need more Christians in these spaces to influence people for the good, to push people closer to the Lord in their health and daily life. And so I feel so blessed to be able to have this as my job. And so I kind of just going to start from the beginning with you guys, kind of share a little bit of my story with you guys, share some tips with you guys, kind of how I got really just to where I'm at. And so I'm just super excited to dive into things. So growing up, I actually was not really very health minded at all. I was actually, I would say probably pretty unhealthy as far as like nutrition growing up. Like I grew up, I did a little bit of gymnastics. I played basketball in my middle school and high school years. But like I was the type of girl that like when I saw a salad, I literally wanted to gag. Like that was so disgusting, which is just so funny looking back on, because literally just the other night for dinner, I had a chicken salad. And so I was just so grossed out by things like that. And so in 2020, when the world decided to shut down, my boyfriend, who's now my husband, was working out a lot. And he's like, hey, you should come work out with me. And I was like, okay. Well, little did I know he actually had ulterior motives, but that's fine. We can dive into that another time. But basically, whenever I started going to the gym, like I honestly started falling in love with it. I had always grown up just really skinny and weak. And so getting into a place where I felt confident and I felt strong was so cool. I'm trying to just give you guys like a really quick recap of my fitness journey, how I kind of got into everything. But in my fitness journey, I really had a lot of unhealthy habits. You know, when I got into fitness and I got into the online space and really just started spending more time on social media, obviously my social media started giving me a lot more fitness videos, and I really fell into the trap of comparison. I really started a lot of unhealthy habits, you know, working out literally every single day for way too long, eating way too little for my body, really just conforming to a worldly viewpoint, you know, still kind of wanting to be small and, you know, have that six-pack abs, have the rockin' body, you know, all of those things. And really like I wanted to fit in with the world. Like I thought I was so cool because I worked out. Like I thought that my body was looking good, and so I wanted to show off my body. And so really it was just a really prideful and vain thing. And so during that time, I actually started reading my Bible consistently. And so one morning I was reading and I read 1 Corinthians 10:31. It says, whether you eat or you drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And I was like, I am doing this for the glory of me. 100%. God is not in this at all. And so obviously it wasn't just like a switch like that. It took me time, but I slowly started giving my fitness journey to the Lord and really allowing Him to work through me in that. And during that time, so that was in 2021 by the time I really started just really giving my journey to the Lord. And in 2021, I really realized I was like, I love fitness. And so I started posting on social media in that time. And I really realized like, wait, there's actually like an online space for coaching. Like people can actually use my help online. Like people were asking me questions. People were like interested in what I did and in my help, which was really cool. And I was like, okay, this is actually something that like I would love to pursue. And I also really just loved the fitness atmosphere. I loved helping people. I actually was originally going to go to nursing school. And so I really have always just had a heart to help people and to serve people. And so I ended up not going to nursing school because I really just felt led to do this. And so summer of 2021, I got my personal training certification. I got that through ISSA. There is a lot of different programs you can get it through. NASM is a really popular one. I'm actually working through another certification through them right now, but ISSA is what I did it through. And so I got my personal training certification, and then I started doing some in-person training at the gym, actually where I worked out at. And then I started working at a gym called F45. That's kind of like a HIIT gym, and that's a really fun like group coaching atmosphere. That unfortunately did not work out too well. Management there was a little rough, unfortunately, but I did love the job itself. I loved working with people. And during that time, I was really growing my social media platform, like not growing it majorly or anything like that, but I was just like posting consistently on social media, trying to just give tips and advice and just help people from my page. And it was probably like into 2021 whenever I actually started doing like some online coaching. And I was like, hold up, like I literally just got a client that lives like 5 hours away from me and I can do this online. And so I kind of slowly started doing that. But whenever I started fitness coaching, like I was still growing a lot in my mindset. I still had a lot of areas to grow in. And so when I first started coaching, like it was very just like, all right, like let's reach your goals. Let's, lose weight. Let's build muscle. Let's look good, And so I would still say that I wasn't even in a super healthy place. But 2022 is when I would say again, like God just continued to work on my heart. And I really, really realized I was like, this journey needs to be for the Lord. And I was like, my coaching needs to be for the Lord. Like my coaching was still just kind of like vain and centered around like you and the goals that you had. And so it was really, really cool that God started working in my heart. And I really kind of started to make my content on Instagram a little bit more just faith focused on the Lord. And I really started attracting a certain audience on there. And it was really cool because as I continued to grow in my faith, as I continued to read the Word of God, I realized just how Christians in the church don't really talk about health very much. And it's something that's super neglected. And a lot of people don't necessarily even realize the sins that come along with not taking care of your health. And so it was very cool for me to get to learn and dive into the Word of God and really realize that there's a community of women out there that don't know how to take care of the health of the Lord. All they've seen is these unhealthy habits and to work out all the time, to not eat very much food, to not feel good. And so there's just so many unhealthy habits that you see in the world of social media, and people just like do not know how to take care of their health first off in a sustainable way. Like I serve in the church, I have a family, I have a husband, like I can't just give my 24/7 to my health, And so it's like, how can I break that barrier? And so as I continued coaching and I continued learning and growing my social media, like God worked in my life so much. I really started giving my business to the Lord. I started praying for the women that came into my program that God would really guide me there. I started making my program Christ-centered. So I really kind of did a revamp on my program. It was like, you know what? Like I'm going to make this not only physically focused, a main focus of it is spiritually focused. And so we want to focus on spiritual health and physical health and really be able to combine the two. And so, I was really just praying over that and praying over, what do I want my business name to be called? Like, what do I want my business to be and stand on and stand for? And so the name that I came up with my business after I just done some praying was Fit, Faith, and Flourish. So when we take care of our fitness and when we take care of our faith, we flourish as a woman of God. And so that is really the meaning behind my business. And I will say, like, I didn't even really see success in my coaching business until I started giving it to the Lord. Crazy, huh? It's crazy what happens whenever you surrender your life to the Lord and allow Him to take control of things instead of trying to be in control of it yourself. But that summer is when I really started having more consistent clients and really just started to be able to have a good program, because the thing is I had confidence in my coaching and my program because that time it wasn't just me. I had the Lord working beside me. I had the Lord as my business partner, and He was helping me put together my program. I wasn't just putting this program together by myself. Like I was in prayer about it, and He guided me so much through that process. And it was literally just the coolest thing. And it still is like such a blessing to see women come through my program and have their lives changed, and that God has allowed me to be a vessel for that and to serve you guys. Like I just cannot stress it. So like if this is something you're thinking about and if this is something that the Lord has laid on your heart, it is literally the best job in the world. I just cannot even stress that enough. But it does take time to grow. Like it took me, I would say, over 2 years to build a consistent client base, and there's still struggles. It's a struggle bus sometimes to run your business from social media and to kind of learn how to do it all on your own. So when I first started my coaching business, I did actually invest in a couple mentors, and I will say that that was really helpful. It's not necessarily needed, and I think the hard thing for me too that really kind of veered me away from the Lord is that they were very like money focused, like, okay, make like 6 figures in a year, make 6 figures in a month, like whatever it was. And I was like, I was fighting because, oh my goodness, yes, all this money, that was very attractive. But then it's like I was doing things that I didn't necessarily feel like lined up with the word of God and just like my sales tactics and different things like that. And so it just kind of felt icky. And so like there are definitely some coaches out there that can help you create your business. It did help me get some foundations for my business, but there were definitely just parts of it that I was like, I'm not really sure about this. And so I will link below a podcast that I love to listen to for Christian business things. I'm actually going to a conference of theirs tomorrow, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share more with you guys about that. But it is very important to base your business off the word of God and to cover your business in prayer. Like that is what really allowed me to be successful in my business, was really letting God guide every single one of my steps, really praying over every single thing that I did, praying over every woman that came into my program. Like this is not something that you want to try to do on your own. Like if you want to have a Christian owned business, you have to surrender it to the Lord and let him lead. And that means being patient. That means when you get that opportunity, you don't immediately jump on it, but you pray and you say, you know what? I'm going to wait. And sometimes that's a no. If somebody's not willing to wait, that is a red flag. And that was something that I experienced because there's a coaching program that I invested into and they were like, we have to know by tonight. And like, I did not get enough time to pray about it. And I do not feel like that was a good decision for me and my business. And so you really have to be patient with this process. Trust the Lord and trust that he will guide you every step of the way. But as far as social media goes and really building a presence on there and even just like starting your business, first off, you cannot be in it for the money. Let me tell you right now, like if you want to get into social media and coaching just because you want to make money, like it's not for you. You have to get into coaching because you love people and because you care about people and you care about their well-being. And I think that's the coolest thing for me is that like I get to see women make these amazing changes and make these changes for the trajectory. Like it's going to affect their children and their children's children. And it's just like the coolest thing ever. But I will tell you, like, there have been really hard times where, like, I haven't really had clients, or I've had clients who maybe haven't responded well or haven't done the best in the program. And, like, it can be really, really hard sometimes because I pretty much do this all by myself. Like, I definitely, like, my sister thankfully helps me with some finances. My husband helps me with some content sometimes. But, like, overall, like, obviously 100% have the Lord in my business. But here, in a sense, I just do it on my own. And so it's not easy to start your own business, like, especially at first. Like, I worked a lot of long days and I said no to things so that I could focus on my business. And sometimes still, like, I say no to things. Sometimes I have late nights just because sometimes there are things that you have to do along with the things of life. And so if you want to start your business, like, you have to be a disciplined person who is ready to make sacrifices. But you also have to realize that if God has called you to this, he will equip you for it 100%. And so again, that goes back to trusting in the Lord. But on social media, I really just started posting first off. Like I just started posting my workouts, started posting some tips, and then I started getting some followers and people started asking me questions and things like that. And then that's when I really noticed, like, oh my goodness, like people actually need help here online. And then what I did is whenever the Lord really started working in my life, I started making my social media geared towards a certain person. So like when I post this piece of content, I'm like, who am I speaking to here? Well, my main audience is I want to speak to Christian women who want to take care of their health. And so when I think of a post, I'm like, how am I speaking to this person here? Sure, you can help a lot of people, but really when you try to help everybody, you help nobody. It's very helpful to be niche down and specific on who you want to help, because that allows you to, first off, be better at what you do because you are more specialized. It also allows you just to be able to speak to people more and get clients who actually want to be a part of your program because you are speaking to that person and they know that they need what you are serving them. And so on social media, like, you want to create a community, you want to create trust. And so that means offering free advice, offering free tips, giving free resources. Like, don't be afraid for your first few clients to like do it really, really cheap or even coach them for free just to get some experience of coaching in the online space. I use an app called Trainerize, and it's a really great app. They have nutrition on it. You can message on there, do calls, money, workouts. Like, you can pretty much do everything on that app. And I think that the first 3 clients are free on there, and then you pay based on how many clients you have after that. But it's a really great app. I really enjoy it. My clients overall have really enjoyed it. And so do not be afraid though to offer free coaching. Like when you first get into this, you're not just gonna, it's not get rich quick scheme. Like that's not what it is. And I think a lot of people can kind of think that, but you have to be patient with the process. One thing I did want to mention is I have a lot of people ask me like, okay, well, now that you're like niche down and you only work with Christian women, like, do you feel like that limits you? And I always tell them like, absolutely not. First off, the Lord has called me to that. And what he's called you to, he will equip you for and he will bless. And so if I start working with people who I do not feel like are aligned with my business or try to walk away from what God has called me to, like I do not think I'm going to have that blessing. And that's happened to me before. And I feel like I have not been successful when I've walked away from what the Lord has called me to. And so if you feel God calling you to work with Christian women, that is who you want to be speaking to. Like I mentioned earlier, when you have that specific group of people that you are trying to speak to, you will be so much more successful because that specific group of people will come to you. And also, like, you don't just want to do coaching to do coaching, at least as a Christian. Like, I want to do it to make Christ the center, to teach them how to make Christ the center of their lives and to really take care of their spiritual health over their physical health and be able to take care of both of those things. And so I think that that's a really important thing of not being able to fall into the world, because it can be really, really easy. Like I will look at other coaches and other social media platforms and be like, oh, like I wish, like I feel like I'd be able to be doing better if I posted things like this, or I feel like I'd be able to have more clients if I posted things like this. But like I have to realize, this is something that I've really realized over the probably past like 6 months, is that because I am more bold in my faith and because I have a Christian-based platform, there are going to be things that I'm going to miss out on, whether that be working with certain brands or clients or getting brand deals and brand trips and things like that. I am honestly at peace about that. And I think I struggled with that for a little bit. But when I bring God in the center of everything I do, I know that he'll bring me the right clients. I know he'll bring me the right brands. And that takes so much pressure off of me. And I think it can sometimes be sad and be like, oh, does this brand not want to work with me when I'm a Christian? But if that brand doesn't want to work with me because I'm a Christian, I don't want to work with them. If that client doesn't want to work with me because I'm a Christian, I do not want to work with them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's so important to have clients that align with your beliefs so that you can unapologetically share your faith and challenge them as a Christian. And that has really helped me. Like, before I ever work with a client, I get on a call with them, and just to make sure that we mesh well together, that we have the same beliefs, that they agree with what I'm sharing for my coaching program. And that is honestly the best way. And I've had some awesome clients because we align on the same things and we challenge each other, we encourage each other, and it's just the coolest thing. And so being able to grow a social media platform, growing a business, like it's not easy, because there are going to be days where you get, 1,000 views on a video and you're going to feel discouraged and you're going to get not very many likes and not very many comments. But like, that is not what it's about. I've had to open my eyes so much sometimes, because it's so weird, because like you can have so many followers and have low engagement, or low followers, high engagement. Like social media is just never dependable. But like over the past year, like again, God has just grown me so much, and I've just had to be like, Lord, like, I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the likes or the comments or the followers. I just pray it reaches the right people. And again, there's freedom in just letting that go to God. Like, it's not easy. Like, yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes, because I'm like, well, I want my video to go viral. Well, guess what? I'm just praying that it reaches the right people, and I have to trust that God is using it to reach the right people. And do I still struggle with it? 100%. Do I sometimes wish that I had more clients? 100%. But you know what? There is freedom found in surrendering it to God. And that is exactly what I have, is freedom in the Lord, because I'm not here to stress about likes or followers or clients. Like I'm leaving it in his hands, and I am striving my best to honor him in all that I do in my business. And what that looks like is each day, really going into my day, praying for my clients, praying for my social media, praying for my future clients. Like, I try to do this every time before I upload a post. I pray that it reaches the right people ultimately. And I go in and out of seasons of this. Like, sometimes I do better at it, sometimes I don't. But I think especially this year, I don't just want to be like a little like influencer, like day in my life, buy this from me, XYZ. Like, I want to have purpose in my content. I want to serve a purpose. I want people to see Jesus in me. And yes, like sometimes I'm going to share my affiliate link. Sometimes I'm going to do brand deals, because it's how I make income. But I don't want to just like every day be like, buy this, buy this, buy this. Like, I just don't feel like that's my purpose as an influencer. And really, like, I don't even feel like influencing is like fully what I'm called to do. 100% it is part of my job. I love making videos. It's so funny because I've always loved doing that since I was a child and it's part of my job now. But coaching really is my full-time job. That is where I make the majority of my income. And so I really want to be able to pour into my clients, pour into my community there, and really just be able to serve them there. But I don't want to fall into the world. You know what I mean? So I don't want to just be like influencing and posting all these different things. So you have to guard your heart in this industry because oh my goodness, like especially when you run your business on social media, you see all these different coaches wearing all these different things, promoting all these different things, and sometimes you think that you'd be a lot more successful if you did that. Let me tell you, you won't be. What is this worldly success compared to success in the Lord's eyes and in his kingdom? You're going to have so much more fulfillment having, a lower following and a lower client rate when serving the Lord versus having other clients and other followers and not serving the Lord. So like, it's a big deal to surrender your business to the Lord and just let him lead you. It makes a really big difference. I just find so much joy in it because I know that I'm doing it for the Lord and that he's blessing it and he's bringing me the right women and the right followers. And again, like I said, yeah, I still struggle with it sometimes, but sometimes I just have to take a second and give it to the Lord. So as far as social media goes, I know this episode is like all kind of random. My thoughts are like all scattered because there's just so many things whenever it comes to running a business on your own and starting a social media account. One of the biggest tips though that I can give for social media is be authentic and be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else on social media. Like, don't try to just post what other people post. Like I said, like, I don't want to just be a normal influencer who's doing all the trends, is dancing on social media. I want to be true to myself and what God has called me to do, what God has called me to share with people. And again, it's easier said than done. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice, but like, you can do it. You can do what God has called you to do, but what do you think that people need to hear? What do you feel called to share? Share that on social media. You know what I mean? Like, don't be scared to post. Like, I think that's one big thing is like just getting started. If you feel called to do this, do it. You absolutely will not regret it. Sure, it can be like maybe a little embarrassing sometimes. Like, yeah, sometimes I'm a little embarrassed about the stuff that I post, but like, I ultimately love posting. I love sharing on social media, and I really don't care what anybody else thinks. Like, I really don't. I'm doing this for the glory of God, to share his word and to be able to have an impactful business on social media and with my coaching. And so you just have to not care what anybody else thinks if you want to be successful in social media and in coaching, because sometimes you're going to catch yourself doing silly things that might feel embarrassing, but you know what? It doesn't matter as long as you're doing that with the heart of serving the Lord and making an impact. So don't care what anybody thinks. But as far as social media goes, try to come up with like a posting schedule. So if you could post like 3 times a week, that's great. Try to do a mix between reels and carousel posts, like just regular pictures. A lot of people sometimes can get tired of just reels all the time, which I mean, I fall guilty too. I need to have a better mix of all of those things, but like have a good mix of them. Don't just post reels, but really what you want to do is build a trustworthy community on Instagram. So like when I first started out my coaching, it's a lot harder to do that now as I've gained followers, but I really do try to respond to all my DMs. And at first I actually was reaching out to people. Like when somebody would follow me, I'd be like, hey, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for your support. Is there anything specific you'd like to see on my page? And I would really try to do that. And I think that's what built a lot of trust in my community because I really built friendships from there. Like I have people who have been following me since I started, and it's so cool to like touch base with them sometimes. And like you create friends through the online space and through the clients that I have and through the followers that I have. And so like it is worth it to spend 30 minutes of your day like in the DMs, messaging people, creating relationships. And again, you're not creating relationships with the end goal of them being a client. You're creating relationships with the end goal of making an impact on them. If they become a client, that is awesome. And one thing that I will mention too is that like, don't be afraid to offer your services to somebody. I know sometimes it can be maybe feel a little like salesy or weird, but the thing is that you have a service that you are offering to people that obviously God has given you a gift for and God has given you a passion for. And if somebody needs help and you're not offering that service to them, really you're doing them a disservice. So like there's nothing wrong with offering people your services. If they say no, no big deal. Like continue to reach out to other people, offer your services, things like that. But a lot of times, like when you post on social media and you're just posting fitness stuff, not everybody necessarily knows that you're coaching. And so don't be afraid to post on your services on there, that you have openings, things like that. You have to put yourself out there and just be bold. Another thing I will say though is that something I always heard is that like fortune is in the follow-up. So like if you have people who you feel like are a good fit for your coaching, or have even said that they're interested in your coaching, but maybe not right now, add them to a list and then check in on them every few months. That's something that I like to do. It's really helpful just to keep track of your leads and not to lose them, because there's some really high quality leads sometimes, but when you get lost in the DMs and messaging a lot of people, it can be really easy to lose them. And so I personally use Asana. I use that for all of my daily business tasks. A lot of people use Notion as well. So there's definitely a lot of different great resources and options out there as far as being able to track your leads, track business tasks, and things like that. I know that was kind of all a lot of random stuff. I hope that gave you a good start on where to start your business. Really start posting on social media. That is the best way to get your business out there. I mean, right now, that's a free place to market yourself. That's really, you don't come by that all the time. So free place to market yourself, create relationships, create trust in your audience. Don't be afraid to post. Don't be afraid to reach out for free coaching, to give free resources. Like, be yourself, be who God has called you to be, do what God has called you to do, and what he has called you to, he will equip you for. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whether you eat or you drink, do it all for the glory of God. And Colossians 3:23 says something of the sorts of, do things for the Lord and not for man. Okay, and so we want to make sure that you're doing your business for the Lord. You guys, shower your business in prayer. Prayer is the number one thing that helped me succeed in my business, relying on the Lord, giving it to him and letting him guide me. So if you want to go somewhere in business, if you want to go somewhere on social media, let God guide you and show you where to go. Again, this process of building a social media platform, of building a coaching business, it takes patience, trust, and time. And you have to keep going. On the hard days, you got to keep showing up. On the good days, you got to keep showing up. And it's not easy every day, but it's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy living a disciplined lifestyle of honoring the Lord. That's not what we're called to do. Like, nobody ever said that owning your own business was easy. A lot of times that's actually what social media likes to make it seem, is that like owning your own business is, just all time freedom, all financial freedom. And I've definitely experienced both of those things. In seasons, I have definitely more time and financial freedom. But there's definitely other seasons where I don't, because sometimes you have to work hard and harder than, because sometimes you just really have to put in the work, and that's okay. Especially in the beginning of my business, I had to put in a lot more work to build that trust in that community. It does sometimes get easier with different aspects as you go on. There's easier aspects in the beginning, harder aspects in the beginning, and then it switches, and there's easier and harder. So there's just so many different things whenever it comes to business. But I do hope that this is helpful for you guys. But really, my biggest piece of advice is just don't be scared to start. Like, if you feel like God has called you to it, do it and pray about it. Surrender it to God. YouTube is also a great place. There's a lot of great videos on there. My DMs, my emails are a great place. I really do try to be helpful. So if you guys have any more specific questions about how to start your business, please let me know. Just email me or message me on Instagram. Again, I know this episode was kind of random and kind of all over the place, but I do hope that it was helpful for you guys. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Remember to shine bright for Jesus, and I'll see you guys next week. So proud of you for finishing another episode. If you have any questions or thoughts, you can find me on Instagram at Hannah Roy Fit. It would mean so much to me if you wouldn't mind to review and share this podcast. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys in the next episode.